the end of the day, I have a choice. It's like either you're going to stay in this relationship, and if you want to say you want to trust him and move forward, then you have to trust him and move forward. And so I was holding myself accountable quite a bit. And my therapist was doing such a good job at confronting me, because even in my therapy sessions, she jokes that like I therapize myself, and most of the time all she has to do is just ask questions, and it triggers like multiple thoughts, and I'm like, oh my God, what? And then like I question myself. I'm doing it all the time. So like I therapize myself, and so I realized in therapy like the questions that I needed to be asking myself, and the thought process that I needed to have. Also, I had such a in the marriage, I gained such a negative mindset and just negative perspective. Like I would speak to myself negatively, and I would, oh God, I just have such a negative outlook on life and on everything really. But I mean, how could that not happen when that form of like betrayal is happening? And then also neglect, because emotionally and mentally I was being very neglected, but it's because we were two very different people. But also because he hasn't started his healing journey. He would tell me things like, well, of course, that like I talk too deep all the time, and I'm like, well, what is all the time for you? And he's like, once a day. He's like, that's too much. Once a day is way too much.
That's not enough.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And that's where we just were so disconnected. Our connection crumbled pretty quickly after our marriage, because like it's just like the mental and emotional aspect weren't there like it was like in the pods. God, which was so hard for us to stay married. I can't believe we lasted that long, if I'm honest. But he refused to give up on that marriage, which confuses me because his actions said otherwise, which is why I also stayed. I'm like, well, clearly you want to be in it if you're still here. But then I saw the statistics of like most of the time it's women initiating the divorces and men are fine with just like being okay. What's that about?
Pop along.
Yeah, like, what is that about?
I mean, the stark reality is we'll happily pop along because we can cheat and nothing happens to us socially. There's no consequences for us. So technically, we could actually pop along the relationship, which is what's happened here. As much as Jarette has cheated and the divorce is broken, who's going to kill him? Nobody. But if you had cheated,
nobody.
You would have been on about 4 or 5 of my videos. So, you know what I mean?
They would have crucified me.
So that's the reality why it goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I get that. Yeah. No, I definitely get that. And I do identify what you're saying there about, and maybe you can talk a little bit about that as well. That depth, that is like one of the, so that situation where also I got cheated on was the same conversation was had about that as well in terms of the depth. I'm a person that likes deep conversations. I need depth. I can't stay on the shallow surface. It's frustrating for me to stay there. So I need that all day, every day. I ain't gonna lie to you. Okay? Yeah, so.
Same.
You know what I mean? Same. So just don't, so I know the frustration, and it became such a struggle when the person kept on telling me about why you always gotta be so deep that I start questioning myself, like, yo, maybe I need to like come up for air or something, because clearly, you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know if that,
it does make you second guess yourself. That's for sure. And that's why, and a lot of times I realized in retrospect, when Jarette was calling me hypercritical and judgmental, what I was really is just analyzing behavior most of the time and like trying to like talk about that. And to him, again, it felt like an attack. So like, I mean, of course he's not going to like it. Of course he's not going to want to talk. But naturally he just doesn't do that. And if he does, like, I'm not going to lie, a lot of times it is bullshit. If you listen to his podcast, bullshit. A lot of it is bullshit. And that's really unfortunate because I'm like, bro, just be honest. But he can't be honest with himself, which makes it difficult for him to be honest with other people. Yeah. Which is so unfortunate to watch. Oh, I just wanted to like do it for him. Like, let me just help.
I get it. No, I get that. That's interesting that you brought that up. Actually, the depth situation is a very real thing.
Yeah. It's a very real thing. I feel like, and that's what I really meant about incompatibility. That's what I was really talking about, that we were just on such different levels and interests. Because I wanted to, I like to talk about stuff. I have a whole podcast dedicated to it. Like, I talk about these things naturally. Like, I want to do it. I talk in all of my relationships. Like, this is just what we do. It's how we connect. Just analyzing our own behavior and talking about just like, come on, like, it's life. How could you not talk about this stuff? But and then how could you not grow, like, or want to grow? Like, why would you want to be stagnant? And, like, you know, I mean, yes, it's uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, like, don't you want to look a year from now and be like, wow, like, look how far I've come. I mean, granted, I might have taken 10 steps back a couple of times. Nonetheless, like, there is movement. There's
Growth.
movement here. I just didn't understand that. I really didn't get that. And I've never dated anyone like that before, which is why, again, I say, like, Jarette was an anomaly. If it weren't for the experiment in real life, if Jarette had actually approached me, I'd be like, oh no, I'm not interested, because I'd be able to quickly see, like, oh, okay. But again, because of the experiment, I was just like, it was making decisions too quickly. I wasn't confronting things about myself, and like the environment was just like, it was like a whirlwind. It was an anomaly. Like, it's not real. I mean, it is real. Clearly, it's real, but like, ah.
No, I get you, you know, and I think the pods is such an interesting phenomenon because I think from my perspective, this is me talking from my perspective and just kind of watching yourself and Jarette. What I saw was oftentimes as men, right, we haven't had the opportunity. No, let me not say I've not had the opportunity. Let me rephrase that, because that'll be wrong phraseology. Oftentimes with men, I was speaking about this. Yes, all the conversations seem to come up today. So yesterday we had a conversation and saying about the reality is a lot of men don't need wives at the point in life they are. They need a friend.
Oh.
But we get confused.
Oh, that's good. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry, go ahead. That's true.
I was like, wait, hold on.
Sorry,
but yeah,
it's good. Keep going.
A lot of men don't need wives. They need a good friend. And what happens is, for us as men, when we operate with other men, we tend not to go on the emotional plane. We tend to do that with women, right? So what happens is sometimes we can get talking, and I saw this with Mallory, and he did something very interesting. He split who he was for Mallory and for you. What he saw was, okay, I'm going to be really open emotional about my scars with Iyanna, but when I go to Mallory, I'm going to give her I'm good, I'm ready to go, like, me and you can do this, right? But the reality was as men, oftentimes what we're doing is we're getting free therapy, right? We're getting free therapy from a woman. We've used you as the therapist, because that is a safe place, because we know, one, you care about us, and two, you're not a random person at this point in time. You're somebody who cares about me. And this is also a thing that goes a little bit deeper, a little bit darker. There's also a power dynamic that comes into this play as well, because with a therapist, the person can call you all the way out. When someone's a partner, they can't call you all the way out because they love you or they care about you. So then you have that form of protection that puts itself in front. So that's why a lot of times men will say, I don't do therapy, but yet they took 4 or 5 hours to a girl that they supposedly like, and they will tell her everything that's ever gone in their life.
Just trauma dumping.
Trauma dumping on them, right?
Yeah.
And it's because of that safety aspect. So, you know, what I saw with Jarette, and I saw with when we were talking to you and talking to Mary, he split himself into two. And you know, when men tend to do that when we haven't healed and we haven't taken the time to, and we're scared to be vulnerable, you know, and be truthful about how we're actually feeling. So yeah, that was what I was seeing with Jarette, and that's your ability to heal is also the very thing that attracts somebody who's not healed, because they're looking for somewhere to release those things. So sometimes they don't need a wife, and we have to be honest as men. We don't need a wife. We need a friend.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.